She called me her useful house husband in a group chat. I smiled, then secretly rebuilt my career for 8 months, until I took the stage and shocked her entire law firm. I never thought I'd be writing this, but I need to get this off my chest and maybe get some perspective from people who aren't involved in my mess of a marriage. My wife Bella and I have been together for 6 years, married for 3. We're both 28, and on paper, everything looks perfect. She's a mid-level associate at a prestigious law firm. I handle most of the household stuff while doing some freelance work here and there. We have a nice house, good finances, the whole suburban dream thing. But 3 weeks ago, I discovered something that's been eating at me ever since. It started when Bella was having technical issues with her laptop and asked me to help transfer some files to her phone. While I was scrolling through her messages to find the work documents, I accidentally saw a group chat with her law school friends. The preview showed my name, so naturally I looked. At least my house husband keeps things clean. That was Bella talking about me. Another message. Marcus is handling the woman's work while I handle the real career. The laughing emojis that followed made my stomach drop. I know I shouldn't have kept reading, but I couldn't stop. Months of messages, all painting me as this helpless domestic servant while she's the successful breadwinner. They were making jokes about how I'm basically a 1950s housewife but with less cooking skills. The worst part? I realized she's been declining social invitations on my behalf for months, telling people I'm too busy with household duties to join work events or friend gatherings. I thought she was just being considerate of my time. Then last Friday happened. Bella's firm had their annual summer associates reception, and she finally invited me along. I was excited because I rarely get to meet her colleagues, and I thought it might be nice to socialize with other couples. When she introduced me to the senior partner, she said, "This is my husband Marcus, who manages our domestic affairs. Not my husband who does freelance design work, or even just my husband Marcus. Domestic affairs." Like I'm the hired help. The senior partner looked at me with this polite but dismissive smile and asked if I enjoy being a homemaker. Other spouses were discussing their careers, their projects, their goals. I stood there feeling like I'd been introduced as the family pet. I tried to mention that I do some animation and graphic design work, but Bella quickly changed the subject to talk about her recent case wins. Later, when I brought it up in the car, she said I was being overly sensitive and that she was just trying to explain why I have flexible availability for events. But here's what really bothers me. I've been supporting her career for years. I took on most of the household responsibilities so she could work late, study for the bar, network with colleagues. I never complained because I thought we were a team. I thought she respected what I contributed to our partnership. Now I'm wondering if she's been seeing me as dead weight this whole time. When I tried to talk to her about potentially expanding my freelance work into something more substantial, she always had reasons why it wasn't practical. "We can't afford the risk right now. Your schedule works so well with mine. Maybe after I make partner." I've been going through our finances, and I discovered she's been contributing to our joint account from what she calls her main account. But there's apparently a separate bonus account I never knew existed. She's been managing our money without telling me about a significant portion of her income. Reddit, I feel like I've been living in a marriage where I'm not actually a partner. I'm the support staff. And the worst part is that she's been actively mocking that arrangement with her friends while pretending to my face that she values what I do. I don't know if I'm overreacting or if this is as messed up as it feels. Part of me wonders if I should just accept that this is how our dynamic works, but another part of me is angry that she's been systematically undermining me while I've been trying to support her dreams. Has anyone else dealt with something like this? How do you even begin to address a problem when your partner doesn't seem to think there is one? So Reddit, am I wrong to feel betrayed by this, or is this just how modern marriages work when one person has a more traditional career? Update 1. Hey Reddit, I'm back with an update that's honestly blown my mind. Your comments on my original post really opened my eyes, especially the ones telling me to dig deeper into how long this pattern has been going on. What I found out has me questioning everything about the last 6 years. First, thank you to everyone who reached out with support and advice. The person who said to check old emails was right. Holy shit, were they right. I reached out to my former animation professor, Professor Hartford, just to see if he remembered me and maybe get some guidance on updating my portfolio. What he told me during our coffee meeting last week completely floored me. "Marcus, I've been wondering what happened to you," he said. "Your senior project won the regional student animation competition. I had 3 industry contacts ask about you specifically after the showcase." I sat there staring at him. 1. I had no idea my work had won anything, let alone that professionals were interested. When I told him I never heard about any of this, he looked confused. "I sent all the information to your email and called your phone number. When I didn't hear back, I figured you decided to go in a different direction." That's when it hit me. This was during Bella's bar exam prep period 6 years ago. She was handling all our communications because I was working 2 part-time jobs to support us while she studied. She told me Professor Hartford had called to check in, but that it wasn't anything important. She lied, 6 years of lies. I went home and dug through old emails like you guys suggested. Found Professor Hartford's messages in my spam folder, dated exactly when Bella was managing my email to help me focus on supporting her studies. 3 industry contacts, 2 potential internship opportunities, 1 offer to connect me with a studio that was expanding their animation department. All of it buried while I was working retail jobs to pay our rent. All of it hidden from me by the woman I trusted completely. When I confronted Bella about this, she got defensive immediately. "You were barely keeping up with your responsibilities as it was," she said. "We couldn't afford for you to chase unpaid internships when I needed stability during the most important exam of my life." But here's the thing that made me want to punch a wall. I went through our old bank statements. We weren't broke. Bella had taken out additional student loans rather than let me pursue any opportunities in my actual field. She chose debt over letting me build a career. She chose to keep me small. I've been thinking about all the times over the years when I mentioned wanting to do more creative work. Every single time, Bella had a reason why it wasn't practical. After I pass the bar, after I get hired, after my first year, after I make senior associate. There's always been a reason why it wasn't the right time for me to have professional ambitions. The goalposts never stop moving when someone doesn't want you to reach them. Meanwhile, my college roommate David reached out after seeing my LinkedIn activity. He's a creative director at an advertising agency now, and he offered me some freelance motion graphics work. Real work, with real deadlines and real pay. When I told Bella about it, she immediately started listing reasons why I shouldn't take it. "What if it interferes with your availability for my work events? What if you can't handle the household stuff? What if you embarrass yourself professionally?" That last one felt like a slap. Embarrass myself. With the skills she'd spent 6 years convincing me weren't worth developing, I took the freelance work anyway. I've been doing it during her long office hours, and honestly, it feels incredible to use my brain for something creative again. The work is challenging, the clients are happy, and I'm remembering why I loved animation in the first place. I'm remembering who I used to be before I became her domestic support system. I also started seeing a therapist individually, Dr. Vasquez. She helped me understand that this isn't really about housework division or even career priorities. This is about systematic professional marginalization. She used that exact phrase, and it clicked. Bella didn't just discourage my career development. She actively prevented it while making me believe it was for our mutual benefit. And then she mocked the situation she created with her friends. The financial picture is becoming clearer too. My sister Sarah, who's a family law attorney, helped me understand our actual financial situation. With proper career development, I could be completely self-sufficient within 12 to 15 months. That bonus account Bella never mentioned. It's substantial enough that she's been living with significantly more financial security than she ever let me know about. She's been playing financial games while I counted every dollar. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with all this information yet. Part of me wants to confront her with everything I've learned. Part of me thinks I should just quietly build my independence and see what happens, but I can't unknow what I know now. The hardest part is realizing that the woman I've been supporting and believing in for 6 years has been systematically sabotaging my professional development while complaining to her friends that I don't have professional development. She created the exact situation she mocks me for being in. She built the cage, and then laughed about the bird not flying. I'm still processing all of this, but I wanted to update you all because your advice literally changed the trajectory of my investigation. Like you/Reddit detective said, follow the paper trail. Well, I followed it, and it led straight to 6 years of calculated career sabotage. Thanks again, Reddit. I'll keep you posted as this situation develops. Update 2. Reddit, I'm back and honestly didn't expect to be updating again so soon, but things have escalated in ways I couldn't have predicted. For those just joining, quick recap. Discovered my wife has been systematically sabotaging my career for 6 years while mocking me to her friends as a house husband. The freelance work I mentioned in my last update, it's taken off beyond anything I imagined. David's agency loved my motion graphics work so much they started referring me to other clients. Marcus, I haven't seen talent like this since art school, he told me over coffee last week. Where the hell have you been hiding? I almost laughed. Hiding? I've been buried under 6 years of being told my work didn't matter. I've been working during Bella's long office hours, building a portfolio that's actually getting noticed. 3 months ago, I landed a significant contract creating animated explainer videos for a tech startup. Real money, real deadlines, real respect for my work. But here's where things get complicated. Bella still has no idea about the extent of my career development. Like you financial independence suggested, I've been using a separate bank account for my freelance income. What started as a few $100s a month has grown into something that could actually support me independently. The 12-15-month timeline for self-sufficiency I mentioned before, I'm ahead of schedule. Meanwhile, Bella's behavior has gotten worse. It's like she can sense something shifting, even though I haven't told her about the bigger projects. 2 weeks ago, I mentioned I had a potential client call scheduled for Thursday evening. Nothing specific, just that I might be unavailable for dinner. That Thursday, she suddenly decided our kitchen faucet was making weird noises and needed immediate attention. Marcus, you need to call the plumber right now, she said, standing in the kitchen with her arms crossed. This can't wait until tomorrow. I have a work call in 20 minutes, I told her. Can we handle this after? Work call? She actually rolled her eyes. Marcus, it's not like you have a real job with real deadlines. She called me every 20 minutes during my client presentation. Every 20 minutes. Emergency after emergency that couldn't possibly wait. I lost that contract. The client said my availability issues made them question my professionalism. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw my phone across the room. Instead, I sat in my car after the failed call and just shook with rage. Last month, she volunteered me to help her mother move furniture on the same day I'd mentioned having a networking thing. When I tried to explain I couldn't reschedule, she said, Marcus, it's not like you have a real job with real deadlines. Then she laughed. Actually laughed at the idea that my work mattered. The pattern is becoming crystal clear. Every time I mention anything that sounds like professional growth, she creates a household crisis or family obligation that requires my immediate attention. She's not just dismissive of my career anymore, she's actively interfering with it. But the breakthrough moment came 3 weeks ago. The tech startup whose videos I created, their content went viral. I'm talking millions of views, industry recognition, the whole thing. They asked me to speak at a regional creative conference about visual storytelling in the digital age. When I told Bella about the speaking invitation, she initially dismissed it. That sounds nice, honey, like a little hobby presentation. But when I mentioned it was a paid speaking engagement with travel expenses covered, her tone changed completely. Wait, what kind of conference? Who else is speaking? How did they even find you? For the first time in years, I saw something I'd never seen before in her eyes when she looked at me. Fear. Not the dismissive concern about me embarrassing myself, but actual fear that maybe I wasn't as professionally irrelevant as she'd convinced both of us I was. They found me through my work, I said quietly. The work you keep calling a hobby. She went silent. Actually silent. I've never seen Bella speechless before. I've been documenting everything now, like several of you suggested. Every interrupted call, every sudden emergency, every time she schedules family obligations during my work hours. Dr. Vasquez calls it evidence gathering, and she's right. Marcus, Dr. Vasquez said during our last session, what you're describing isn't marriage. It's systematic control disguised as domestic partnership. But am I becoming just as manipulative? I asked her, building this secret career hiding my success. There's a difference between protecting yourself from sabotage and sabotaging someone else, she said. You're not tearing her down, you're building yourself up despite her efforts to prevent it. That distinction matters to me. It has to matter. The speaking engagement is next month. I'm going, whether Bella likes it or not. It represents everything I've been working toward during these months of rebuilding myself professionally. But here's what's really eating at me. I've been living a double life for 8 months now. Working, growing, succeeding in secret while maintaining the facade of being her domestic support system. Some days I feel proud of what I'm accomplishing. Other days I wonder if I'm becoming someone I don't recognize. The difference is I'm building something. She's been tearing something down. My portfolio is stronger than it's ever been. My client base is growing. Industry contacts are starting to know my name again. Professor Hartford introduced me to a creative director at a major studio last week. Your work reminds me why I got into animation in the first place, the director told me. We should talk about some upcoming projects. I'm not the same person who wrote that first post 8 months ago. I'm not the guy who stood at that law firm reception feeling like hired help. I'm remembering who I was before Bella convinced me I was nobody. But I'm also angry in ways I didn't know I could be angry. 6 years, Reddit. 6 years of believing her version of reality where my dreams were impractical and my talents were hobbies. 6 years of thinking I was lucky she tolerated my creative interests instead of understanding she was threatened by them. The tech startup wants to discuss a long-term creative partnership. The conference organizers mentioned potential consulting opportunities. There's a real path forward here, one that doesn't require anyone's permission or approval. I think I know where this is heading, but I'm not ready to make that move yet. First, I want to see how she reacts to the conference. I want to see what happens when she realizes I'm not just the house husband she's been mocking to her friends anymore. Thanks for following this journey, Reddit. Like you Truthseeker 2024 said in the comments, sometimes you have to save yourself before you can save the relationship. I'm still figuring out if there's a relationship left to save. Next update will probably be after the conference. Something tells me that's going to be the moment everything changes. Update 3, Reddit, I'm back with what will probably be my final update. The conference happened, and everything that followed has been a whirlwind I'm still processing. Thank you to everyone who's been following this journey. Your support literally changed my life. The speaking engagement went better than I could have imagined. My presentation on visual storytelling got a standing ovation, and I had industry professionals lining up afterward to exchange contact information. But the real bombshell came from an unexpected source. During the networking reception, a man in an expensive suit approached me. Marcus Thompson, I'm Richard Castellanos, senior partner at Morrison, Klein & Associates. I recognized the name immediately, Bella's firm. I had no idea you were an animator, he continued. We've been looking for someone to create presentation materials for our biggest client pitch next month. Your work is exactly what we need. I stood there trying to process what was happening. I'm sorry, you know who I am. Of course, you're Isabella Rodriguez's husband. She's mentioned you work in domestic management. He looked confused. But your presentation today was incredible. Are you available for consulting work? That's when it hit me. Bella's own senior partner had no idea I was a professional animator. Her misrepresentation nearly cost her firm a valuable resource they desperately needed. I took his card. I'd be very interested in discussing that opportunity. When I got home that evening, Bella was waiting in the kitchen with her arms crossed. The look on her face told me she already knew something was wrong. Richard Castellanos called me today, she said without preamble. He asked why I never mentioned my husband was an award-winning animator. Award-winning? I kept my voice neutral. Don't play dumb, Marcus. He said you won some regional competition years ago and that industry professionals have been asking about you. Her voice was shaking. He wants to hire you for the Morrison account. I sat down across from her. And that's a problem because you never told me about any award, because you've been lying to me about your work, because I had to find out from my boss that my husband is apparently some hotshot creative professional. The irony was so thick I almost laughed. Bella, do you remember 6 years ago when Professor Hartford called about my senior project? Her face went pale. What does that have to do with anything? You told me it wasn't important. You handled my communications, remember, to help me focus on supporting your studies. I pulled out my phone and showed her the screenshots I'd saved. 3 industry contacts, 2 internship offers, 1 studio connection, all buried in my spam folder while you convinced me we couldn't afford for me to pursue my career. She stared at the screen. I was protecting us. We needed stability. You were protecting yourself, I said quietly, from the possibility that I might succeed at something that mattered to me. What happened next broke something fundamental between us. Bella started crying, but not the way people cry when they're sorry. She cried like someone who'd been caught. I was scared, she admitted. My mother kept asking when you were going to get a real job. My colleagues' husbands are all lawyers or doctors or executives. I felt like I had to justify why I married someone who wanted to draw cartoons for a living. So you sabotaged my career to make yourself feel better about your choices. I didn't mean for it to go this far. She was sobbing now. I thought if you focused on supporting my career first, we could figure out your creative stuff later. But then later never came, and I didn't know how to fix it without admitting what I'd done. And the group chat, mocking me to your friends. I was trying to make it seem like our arrangement was my choice, like I was this successful woman who could afford to support her artistic husband. But inside, I was terrified that you'd figure out you were too good for me. The conversation that followed was the most honest we'd had in years, but honesty doesn't fix 6 years of systematic sabotage. She revealed that her imposter syndrome at work made her need to feel superior at home. Her mother's constant pressure about maintaining a perfect marriage led her to diminish me to feel secure. But here's what I realized during that conversation. She wasn't sorry about what she'd done. She was sorry she got caught. 2 days later, our neighbor hosted a barbecue. Bella's colleague Janet was there with her husband, and she asked about my house-husband role with that same dismissive tone I'd grown used to. Actually, I said calmly, I just spoke at the regional creative conference about visual storytelling. I'm also consulting for Morrison, Klein and Associates on their major client presentation. The look on Janet's face was priceless, but the look on Bella's was devastating. Pure humiliation that her carefully constructed narrative was crumbling in front of her colleagues. Later that evening, Richard Castellanos approached me privately. Marcus, I owe you an apology. If I'd known about your background earlier, we could have been working together for years. Isabella's misrepresentation has cost us valuable time and resources. I could see the wheels turning in his head. Bella's credibility at the firm was taking a hit, and there was nothing I could do to stop it. The final straw came when Bella asked me to turn down the Morrison contract. It's too weird, she said. Working with my firm, having my colleagues see you as a professional, it changes everything about our dynamic. What if I want our dynamic to change? But I like our life the way it is. I like that you're available for me, that you handle everything at home, that I don't have to compete with your career for your attention. That's when I knew she didn't want a partner. She wanted a support system. She didn't want me to grow. She wanted me to stay small so she could feel big. I moved out 3 weeks ago. I'm renting a small apartment downtown, close to the co-working space where I've set up my animation studio. The Morrison contract led to 2 more corporate clients, and I'm booked solid through the end of the year. Bella has been calling constantly, asking when I'm coming home, insisting we can work this out in counseling. But Dr. Vasquez helped me understand something crucial. Some patterns can't be repaired because they were never broken. They were working exactly as designed. She didn't accidentally sabotage your career, Dr. Vasquez told me. She systematically prevented your success because your success threatened her sense of control. I'm not angry anymore, Reddit. I'm sad for the time we lost, but I'm not angry. Bella is dealing with her own demons, the imposter syndrome, the family pressure, the need to control others to feel secure about herself. But those are her demons to fight, not mine to enable. The industry recognition from the conference has opened doors I didn't even know existed. I'm speaking at 2 more conferences this year, and a major studio wants to discuss a potential partnership for an upcoming animated series. I'm 28 years old, and I'm finally building the career I should have started 6 years ago. Some of you have asked if I regret the secrecy, the months of building my career in hiding. I don't. Sometimes you have to save yourself before you can save anything else. And sometimes saving yourself means accepting that there's nothing left to save. Bella entered individual therapy, which I hope helps her understand why she needed to diminish me to feel secure. But that's her journey now, not ours. Thank you, Reddit, for helping me see that I deserved better than being someone's secret shame. Thank you for encouraging me to dig deeper, to rebuild my career, to remember who I was before someone convinced me I was nobody. I'm not nobody. I never was. I just forgot for a while.